Okay, so sometimes when we are doing a subtraction and with fractions, sometimes we have to rename the number in order to make it possible to do the subtraction. So here's an example of a time when we might do this. So we have Avery bought a 5-pound bag of flour to make cookies. When she finished baking, she had 1 3/4 pounds of flour left. How many pounds of flour did she use to make the cookies? So we know that our numbers that we need are 5, a whole number of 5, and we're going to subtract this 1 3/4. Okay, so one way that we can do this is if I'm just taking these numbers from that story problem and I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to start with this 5, and I have to rename this number because I need to make it into a mixed number. So in order to do that, I'm going to take away a one whole piece, and that's going to leave me with 4 whole pieces. So I'm picturing a pizza. If I have 5 whole pizzas and I take one away and I divide that 5th piece up into 4 different pieces. It's still 5 pizzas. I've just renamed this number because we know that 4/4 is the same thing as a whole. And if we added that to 4, we would still have 5. So I'm not borrowing, I'm not trading anything, I'm not adding or subtracting anything. I'm simply renaming that whole number. Okay, so then once I have it written in a mixed number format, I can now pull down this 1 3/4 and continue with my problem. So I go with the whole numbers. 4 minus 1 is 3. Looking at my numerators, 4 minus 3 is 1, and the denominator stays as 4. Okay, so that's one example when we would need to rename a fraction, or I'm sorry, rename a whole number. However, there are times when you have already a mixed number and you need to rename it and make it into a improper fraction, but it's also going to have a whole number with it in order to do your subtraction. And this is when it gets a little trickier. So feel free to rewind it and watch this as many times as you need to. But I'm going to take you through all the steps. So we have Evan as a 4th grader and is 4 7/12 feet tall. Evan's dad is 1 12 feet tall. How much taller is Evan's dad than Evan? So again, we're going to need to start, and it's a subtraction problem. So we start with the larger whole number. So 6 1/12 minus 4 7/12. Okay, so although the whole numbers work, 6 minus 4, we can do that. We cannot subtract the numerators, 1 minus 7. So we have to rename this fraction right here. Okay, so I'm going to take away, or I'm going to actually cross off that 6, and I'm going to replace it with a 5 because I'm just going to rename it. And I would rename it with 5 12/12 because 12/12 is a whole plus the 5 makes it 6. Here's where it gets tricky though. I still have 1/12 of this piece of my fraction that I need to now include because this 5 12/12 only renames the 6. Okay, so I have to actually take that 1/12, pull it down, and add it to my newly renamed 6. Okay, so renamed my 6, and I'm adding the original 1/12. That is going to equal 5 wholes and 13/12. And this is an improper fraction. It does looks funny because the numerator is larger, but we have to have it that way in order to make the subtraction problem work. Okay, so now all we've done here is gotten 6 1/12 ready to do our subtraction problem. Okay, so I'm going to take that whole part, 5 13/12, which is just renaming 6 1/12. I'm going to pull it down and rewrite it so I have a new workspace. So I have 5 13/12, and I'm going to subtract the 4 7/12, and that just came from the original problem right here. Okay, I'm just pulling it down so I have a new workspace. Now I can go ahead and solve this. I start with my whole numbers. 5 minus 4 is 1. 13 minus 7 on the numerators is 6, and of course 12 stays the same. Now remember, fourth grade, this answer is fine. This is an acceptable answer. If you want to challenge yourself and make it more middle school appropriate, you can simplify that fraction. And we would say, we know that 6 is half of 12, so this would also be correct if you said 6.5, okay? Because that's just simplifying and it's an equivalent fraction. Okay, hopefully that helps. If not, let me know and we can try to figure something else out.